Guys, welcome to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, we have huge news for the Rennch YouTube channel and the Rennch business, and huge upgrades for the garage. Well, frankly, guys, I don't know where to start. I have so much to update you guys on. Let's just start with the big news. Your boy here, after toiling in engineering for the last 3 years, has a booth at SEMA. I've got a 10 by 20 booth at SEMA. I'm also bringing 3 cars to the event, and I have every intention of delivering a bunch of engines right around that same time. So needless to say, I'm a busy boy this summer. Now the booth is going to be incredible. Here's a little AI rendering of it. It's kind of what I'm looking for, but you'll see it's going to be amazing. I have the Laystern 1 car that's going to be in the booth. That's the one that has the carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber deck lid, carbon fiber roof, and has the first officially installed version of the Subaru EZ30R swap kit. I'm also bringing the Blasphemy build, which means I get to work on the Blasphemy build again for the first time in a couple of years, which is super cool. The booth location is insane. If you guys have ever been to SEMA, one of the really big highlights of the show is the Toyo Tread Pass. And that is between South Hall and Central Hall. And it's basically like this covered area where Toyo features all these really amazing builds. It's one of the most popular things at SEMA. My booth is right inside the doors when you walk in from the Toyo Tread Pass into the Central Hall. It's literally right there. So it's super thrilling for me to be able to do. I'm kind of shitting bricks about it because I have to have a booth and 3 cars and deliver a bunch of engines by then. Neither here nor there. Now obviously, prior to this giganto thrash I'm about to do, right now is kind of the calm before the storm. So what I've been focusing on over the last month or so is mass organization and upgrades to the shop. And that will continue on this very episode. I have a number of things I have to show you, not the least of which is an X-Tool metal fab laser cutter and welder, which has been transformational in the shop. Also, I've reached out to our friends over at Harbor Freight and said, can we do something to fix this corner? What if I did a massive shop organization, and what if I used some of your incredible toolboxes to completely simplify this messy corner? And they were like, aces, let's do it. So it's Tuesday right now. The toolboxes arrive on Thursday. So what I'm gonna do today is start getting ready for those toolboxes to arrive. What that involves is using the X-Tool metal fab to produce a bunch of organizational tools in the shop where I can store things that have always been a bit of a pain in the butt and I don't have anywhere to put them. So let me take you on a little bit of a tour and I'll show you what we're gonna do. First things first, both of these toolboxes are going to go away. I'm going to move this rack because I've got another toolbox that's going to be under there. And then I have this whole wall that I would like to optimize. And that is what we're going to be doing today. What I'm doing is making a bunch of custom shelves and racks to store all of these kinds of tools I have all over the place. First things first, I've moved my fabrication table out into the middle of the garage. That gives me a little bit of room around the outside. And that is because this giant X-Tool metal fab is now in its place. And this thing does a brilliant job of laser cutting all kinds of different metal. And then that's the welder as well. It cuts and it welds. Then it's got a little air compressor and an air dryer. And I've just been in full project mode, making things for the shop, like storage for my angle grinders that mount perfectly to the Fireball table. Now I have all of these Hercules tools that were sent to me by Harbor Freight. And I made one of these, and this will mount to the wall and fit 6 of these on the wall. So I actually need to make another one of these today. And this was an inspiration I had yesterday. This is a really cool organizer for all of my vice grips. I have so many of them that I use for all kinds of different body work and things like that. And they step down from larger to smaller, and I need to make another one of these as well. So the first thing we're going to do right now is crank out a couple of these two things, and I'll show you how I make them. By the way, look how intricate this thing cuts. This is just a little keychain I made out of 1mm stainless steel. So I thought this is pretty cool. You can see the line drawing. This is the vice grip holder. Dudes, I did not do a single amount of code or 3D. I just used Claude Design to just tell it what I wanted. I showed it a couple of examples of thumb that I found online. And after, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, this is what I had, which is incredible. Then export this as a DXF, and that goes into the Xtool Studio program, which looks like this. This actually takes a upper camera shot of the material, which is a 2 foot by 2 foot. I've just cut one of these out, so it's pretty much ready to go. And all I have to do here is hit process in the lower corner. It's ready to roll, all is well. I just hit start, and then let's check out what it does. Okay, back in the garage, we got a little blue blinking light, and then all I gotta do is just hit boom. Hit start. This takes about 2 minutes or so. Okay, and here's the super satisfying part of cutting it out. Let's grab a magnet. Now I've got a bit of dross to clean up on the backside because I'm not using oxygen, I'm just using compressed air. First stop is the fab table. Dross has been properly dealt with here. And now let's bend this bad boy up. Hi, Ben. You guys haven't seen this either. This 20-ton press was on sale. I picked it up pretty cheap and decided to make a press break. We're going to bend this thing up. It's not perfect. I could have done a little bit of a better job, but it was kind of my first major project with the laser. How awesome. All right, here we are, all bent up and ready to go. So I'm gonna ditch all the stuff on this wall really quick. All right, I've got the laser level out. Got both these on here, then going to dial in the vice grip holders. All right, racks are up. I still have to level them and put the other screws in. Will you have a look at that? I mean, come on, dude. That is a well organized, people. Well freaking organized. It is indeed Christmas in July. All of the cabinets just showed up. This is going to be so sick, you guys. So 56-inch roller cabinet. That's the mothership. Then there's a locker that's on the left-hand side. Then the work center hutch. So this opens up, you can put a laptop on it and that kind of thing. The light bar that goes in the hutch to give it a nice working space and some good lighting. Then end cabinet that has a bunch of drawers on the right. And then I got a separate roller cabinet with a whole bunch of other drawers as well. How's it coming over there?
Good. Just finishing the equipment.
Yeah, cool. Sweet. That's it.
That's it.
All good. Thanks so much, dude. They give you a ramp so you can wheel it off the pallet, which is so cool. That was easy, except this foam thing was a bit of a pain. How awesome! Come on now. Let's lock that thing up. Man, that's so cool. Let's take a tour. Let me show you. Here it is in all its glory. This is the US General Series 3 56-inch roller cabinet. Full of awesome things. I love the color combo. First of all, obviously it's on brand for Rennch. This is the big meaty drawer up top. Really super beef. This will probably be my wrenches. A couple really cool things. Number one, it has power built in. It gives you a power cord. And that is for this drawer, I think, or maybe this drawer. This drawer, yeah. So this has a built-in power strip. This is where you can put all of your battery chargers. So if you have like power tools, you can put the battery chargers right in here and have all of your batteries and all the spares right in this drawer. They make an insert that I opted not to get, that you can put your power tools right here. There's like a docking station that goes right there. I guess I'll probably throw the hutch on next. I might need some help with the locker. I'm not exactly sure yet. What I think happens here is I think these hooks probably latch onto this ledge right here. And I'm not sure if I can do that myself, but I will try. If not, I'll see if I can get a buddy to come over and help. That, by the way, was 30 years of moving super heavy drum equipment from gig to gig. And my equipment bag, which I call the body bag, is full of super heavy, you know, all my drum stands and things. And that's how I'd have to get it in the car. You put the front end first and then you lift with a handle. So that was good. Workout of the day. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, cool. It's even got a little shelf. Comes with a little shelf for screwdrivers. Looks like to me. Nice. And then comes with a little tray. And also on Etsy and a bunch of other spots, you can pick up a Visa mount, V-E-S-A, for like a computer screen and mount it right on the wall, which I'm going to do. So I'm going to put probably a Mac Mini in here so I can control my CNC, my laser CNC cutter right there. I thought this was worthy of pointing out because I think that they've recently upgraded this. This thing comes with some M8 bolts. I'll just show you on this side. These are threaded. So these bosses are actually threaded on the sides, depending on what side you go with. And they've got basically nutserts inside. That makes it so much easier to secure this, because I think what they used to do before is you'd have to thread a bolt in and get a nut on the back side, and getting a nut inside here and holding it was probably a huge pain in the butt. Because I'm a glutton for punishment, and I know this is going to help me a lot, the configuration of this with the locker on the left is perfect for my space. However, it's right up against the wall. Well, I don't want the door to have to open this way. So I want it to open this way. I was fingers crossed about this. Thankfully, Harbor Freight, you can see all these hinge screws all the way down. Well, it looks like they've given me the option to screw this door in on the other side. And if you look at it, it's basically completely symmetrical. I'm gonna pop these screws out and flip the door over so it opens this way. And by the way, if you guys don't know that, you can do that with every appliance, including a refrigerator. If you have a door that opens the wrong way, like I had to do it to this dryer over here because the dryer door was on that side, but every dryer, every washer, every appliance pretty much comes with the ability to flip the doors on either side. So I'm going to do that. Next move is to clear out that entire corner. All right, we're all cleared out, and then I'll slide the cabinet and we can see it for the first time. All right, let's finish. I got a set of drawers here, and then another whole cabinet there. Okay, dudes, here we go. I mean, come on. Look how sick that is. So a few things. Number one, I've just reached out to Harbor Freight to see if I can order a set of these larger casters that are on all of these, because these are smaller and obviously it doesn't align. I would love this if the drawers were all in the same line. And the second thing is, this is kind of the long process now of, you know, grabbing my tools from this toolbox and moving them and organizing them and getting rid of a bunch. I'm actually donating this toolbox to a buddy of mine, a dude you've seen in a lot of these videos who doesn't have anything like this. I'm gonna do the light now really quick and make sure this thing's powered up so I can get my batteries in there. Et voila. How cool, huh? So this is the icon light, and it's magnetic. You could put it on the door and get more light out here, but I didn't like how it was pulling the wires through, so I didn't do it. Incidentally, time-wise, it is now 4:41. I've been at this since, God, 8:30? 9? Maybe 9 when I got this stuff. So it's been definitely an all-day affair, and I haven't even started with the tool transfer yet. All right, guys, next day, and of course I just ran to Harbor Freight to get a few essentials. I did pick up this socket tray, and this is obviously metric, and it does 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. So I can pretty much get all the sockets I need onto these three, and that should organize my sockets pretty well. While I was there, of course, I had to buy some new, Icon shallow sockets because they were on sale. So now I have shallow and deep, no skip, from 8mm to 19mm, which is sweet. Then I picked up 2 sets of screwdriver holders. I don't know what I'm doing with my screwdrivers. I have like 87 screwdrivers from all different makes and brands. And then I picked this guy up as well, which is magnetic on the bottom. And this holds wrenches. And the reason I got this specifically is because in my wrench drawer here, I have like the nice Icon setup. Again, no skip, which is pretty sweet. But then I have a bunch of these guys, which are like kind of extended, elongated guys that go for, from 26, 24 all the way down. And I don't really have anywhere to put them. So I decided to pick that thing up to organize the wrenches a little bit more. I realized that this setup and getting like all of the different tools from all of my random toolboxes all over the place and everything into the mothership, it's going to take a while. And I think I have a ton of 3D printing to do and organization. Like, have a look at this. This is just a bunch of random sockets from a bunch of different sets that I have. I need to figure out what I'm doing with those. But then I want a set, maybe in a mobile setup that I can have outside. Maybe one that can be in my car for long road trips. I don't really know yet. So I have to figure all that stuff out. And honestly, it's going to take a couple weeks. Then I have a special surprise before the end of the video. All right. I don't want to brag, but that's millimeter precise. Like, spot on. It's a good eyeball. Damn. I gotta double check because that's crazy. It's about 100. Top of the R. I got nothing. No notes. I know I gave you guys all the updates of what's going on here in the Rennch garage. One thing that happened while I was making this video is a company that I spoke to a couple years ago has agreed to provide the Blasphemy build with some 3D printed Inconel turbo manifolds and an intake. Fingers crossed that it'll all work out and it's going to be ridiculous and insane. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you can see the Blasphemy build, the Lacestern, and the Grey Ghost all get cranking over the next couple of months. Thank you to Harbor Freight for this beast. I will say something that this is like a bucket list item for a garage. So thank you so much to Harbor Freight for sending this over. And thank you to Vivor for what they've done on this project. All right, so here's kind of an interrupt right in the middle of this video. This video was actually already done and shot, and I was editing it, and it was almost done. And then I had a small issue with one of the cabinets, which Harbor Freight quickly resolved. And then I found out that you could actually get replacement wheels for these smaller cabinets that come with the smaller wheels, because a lot of times people buy them like just as independent cabinets. And you can call customer service. If you guys have same situation I did where you've had like the smaller roller cabinet along with the larger ones and it's lower, you can call Harbor Freight customer service on the telly and they will send you the larger wheels for a nominal fee. It's been a while, like a week and a couple of days since I shot the first video, and I have done a massive amount of work to the garage from an organizational standpoint. And I thought, because you guys are also car guys and probably want to see what the workshop setup is like, I'm going to show you what I've done in the drawers as well. It's not fully kitted out yet. I still have a number of drawers that are empty, which is signified by some green tape on the toolbox. But first and foremost, check it out all at one level. Look how awesome that looks now that all the wheels are the same and it occupies the same horizontal plane. It was driving me nuts. So thank you to Harbor Freight for that. Let me take you on a quick tour of what I've done in the last week and how I've organized this particular toolbox. Okay, here we are. So first and foremost, I am a big label guy. I know a lot of guys aren't. I am. I like to label my drawers when I have them. Dollies, I haven't even filled this one up yet. I've got a couple of hammer and dollies here. Air supply, I'm lost in love. That was on purpose. Here's the tape drawer, which occupies basically the same as the other one. And I did dollies right next to the hammers, which are all here. I'm going to 3D print a nice little setup for these. And I've been 3D printing like a madman. Screw it. I've actually gotten, you know, as cool as Harbor Freight's been to sending me this giant thing and a number of other things in my garage, I have bought so many of their tools over the last, couple of weeks. So Icon screwdrivers, Icon mini screwdriver here. My favorite drawer, which is measure stuff. That's all my tapes and measures and calipers and things like that. If you watch South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, Punch in Pa. This one's called Punch in Pra. So this is all the pry bars and punches. I've got electrical stuff. So this is pretty much everything I would use if I was doing like Deutsch connectors or any kind of wiring in the car, battery terminals, things like that. So that's pretty rad. I got a couple of empties. So I've got room for growth here, which I'm very excited about. Gloves have a drawer, files and blades. So all my different files. And then for whatever reason, I've always had my razor blades in with my files for no apparent reason. Brushes, large brushes, small brushes, toothpicks, cut stuff, another one of my favorite drawers. It's anything sharp I would use to cut something. SAE nonsense. This is my only American Standard drawer. So I pile all my SAE wrenches that I barely ever use and sockets. And I did actually buy an SAE socket set from Harbor Freight because it was way on sale. Then I think this one's empty as well. Oh, no, actually I'm doing like jumper cables and stuff in that one. And then the big boys, right? This is the mothership, if you will. So this is, I picked up a couple of the Icon deep socket, shallow socket, and these are mine, I think. Yeah, these are like Craftsman here. So someday maybe I'll get the 1/4-inch ones. My thought was, let me just replace the stuff that I've sort of collected over the years that's kind of mishmash with, you know, the Icon stuff, because I love that it comes in its own case. I've got the adapters, I've got some extensions, and this is cool. I actually 3D printed this wobble socket holder here. I've 3D printed a bunch of stuff, actually, a bunch of things for various spots. I just picked these up. Same idea. Nice to have a spare set of tools. I have actually a roller toolbox. Picked this bad boy up. This is finally just a regular 1/2-inch drive ratchet, which I did not own. And then this 14-inch Icon. It's got the flex head on it. And then a couple of the other small guys. So I'm pretty covered with ratchets, head to toe, a couple of breaker bars, a couple of torque wrenches, digital torque here. Then we go down to wrenches, same idea. I've got the nice Icon no skip from 8 until, what is that, 6 until 19. What am I missing? I think I'm missing one. There should be one right there. Anyway. And then the larger ones, like to go 26 on down. Then a couple of kind of random ones that I use, and then a few smallies in there. A couple of brake line ones and things like that. This is all my AN fitting wrenches here. A couple of other rando-matics. This is more new tools. So I grabbed these T-handles. Again, I had a set, but it wasn't this good. And then these things were on sale, super cheap. These are just nut drivers. Same idea, you know. And then small set of Torx here. And then a bunch of bits. You know, I've got like the bits up there. And then this is my Icon screw extractor there. And what else? Screws. These will be filled in with like more drill bits and things like that as we go. This is kind of the random specialty tool drawer. There's, you know, things for glue and hot glue and just random stuff that I didn't know where else to put. This one is all my corded power tools, which lives there. And then this is really cool. So all the batteries go here along with the charger, which is sweet. And then this I'm using like funnels and pumps, all my stuff that I use for like oil changes and things like that, as well as my little stand-up thing for zip ties. And then of course, I adorned it with some models that I had lying around, and you know, a bit of housekeeping here. Did flashlights, 3D printed this holder, and then just kind of made this little shelf so I could put like Loctite and things like that. A bunch of logos and crests and things. Lights are magnetic. And then things I use all the time, WD-40, PB Blaster, reminders of really bad work that I've inherited on some things. Reminder of this rod that was actually in this car. And I'll show you my little thing I just did. Welcome to Rennch. But this car was my first Porsche here. And right here, so I picked it up. This is the first picture I ever took of it, 72 911. This is 2003. Drove it home to Colorado. This is in front of Touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame. And then this is where the engine blew up in the middle of Nebraska on the way home. And that rod you just saw was in that particular engine. So don't do this to your engine, everybody. This is a squirrel or something had built a nest around one of the cylinders, and it overheated, and that's what happened. So you guys have seen this, but I've adorned it a little bit more. We're kind of settled in now with all the different holders, and that is super dialed. I got all my air tools in there as well. And then this is the fab table, which is all nice and pretty at the moment. I grabbed one of these little US General little mini toolboxes because it was on sale, just for stuff I use here on this table. And then of course the X tool. So, oh yeah, and lighting. I didn't even tell you about the lighting. So I've completely put new lights in the garage, and now it's like daylight in here. So much better to work, especially at night. All right, we're getting very close to the movie Inception here, because this is another interrupt to the interrupt you're watching right now. And that's because I've refined the toolbox since even this first interrupt. I've added the computer, I've added a few labels, I've added some context to some of the drawers. So let me take you through that, and then we'll finally wrap this thing up the way I tried to like a week ago. First of all, I can't say enough about how much this is helping me keep the garage organized. Everything has a place. I do want to show you this. I didn't really show you the cabinet in that first interrupt, but everything's here. I've got my goggles, you know, safety glasses here, some random stuff, my label maker, which just ran out of labels, and some other random bits. All my like hard shell cases for, you know, some of those tools that come in the cases, they all live in there. But here's the computer. I happen to have this already. It was in my music studio and it turned out great. I 3D printed a VESA mount for this monitor, and then of course wireless keyboard and mouse, and then you fire it up and you've got a cool computer. I've actually upgraded my internet in here as well, which is cool. I've just made it a little more homey overall. Got myself little paper towel holders on sale. Just found some spots for some things. And then a few of the drawers have kind of found their way. Kind of like this one a lot. This is my cardboard templates. All the things I make brackets and stuff out of, they go there. And yeah, I mean, it's just all getting dialed in. But yeah, it's so nice having the computer in here now, because I can literally fire up the X-Tool software, send it to the metal fab, and just go right here and hit the button, which is really neat. I was going back and forth and getting all my steps in for the day. Back to your regularly scheduled interruption. And finally, as Grandma used to say, always be branding.